This is a NAS, or Network Attached Storage, with a gigabit interface and not 4, not 8, not 12, but 16 terabytes of storage. It easily keeps all my files and projects safe from another SSD failure, like my laptop suffered a few months ago. But what all is needed to keep your data safe? This might seem like an advertisement, but it's not. No money exchanged hands. However, Asustor did supply the NAS to me free of charge, and Seagate supplied the 16 terabytes of hard drives, all in just in exchange for this video review. So let's jump in. Some nerds like having the full home lab experience. Large server racks in their basement, massive 10 gigabit network, large PCs with millions of RGB lights, drop in 17 monitors and get C-Matrix running on all of them. But that's not my rack. This is my rack. As you can see, it shares space with my girlfriend's Pee Wee Herman collection, and that's pretty much my speed. It's not that there's anything wrong with a giant setup with a giant computer and a network stack, but I live in an apartment and I like to be mobile, and this is the X1 Carbon 6th generation. I've had this for a while. Part of the reason I like this is, well, it's very portable, but there's not enough room in this machine for, let's say, a bunch of hard drives. In fact, it's got one hard drive slot, which is filled with a 1 terabyte Samsung drive. To maintain this very simple lifestyle of a thin rectangle that I can carry with me anywheres, my backup solution had to be something on the network. And that's kind of where this guy comes in. It's a black box, very unassuming, and it fits in whether you have it in a closet or like me having it in my living room as part of my TV setup. And you can just hide it right here, right between your Pee Wee Herman bobblehead and your stuffed Good Meal. So here is the website for it. I'll have the link down below where you can check this thing out. But as you can see, it's got a Realtek quad-core 1.4 gigahertz, 1 gigabyte DDR4, but I feel like when I'm using it, I think it often tells me 600 megabytes. 2.5 gigabit Ethernet, really good. I like how they point out a rose gold logo as if that's something I'm worried about. And tool for installation and setup was pretty straightforward. The UI is really nice. It was pretty easy to get things going. When you put the hard drives in, it has kind of this setup wizard, which is basically hitting next a few times and giving things like an alias and logging in with your optional Asustor account. They got a good activity monitor that kind of tells you what's doing what. As you can see, I'm almost completely out of RAM, just sitting here idling. The fast networking stuff is awesome, and the CPU doesn't really get taxed that much, which is awesome. I don't have very many applications installed. The only application I can truly recommend is the photo gallery, which gives you a very Google Photos-like experience. But again, that RAM limitation rears its ugly head. This also has a companion Android app that's really good, but also suffers from this slow loading of thumbnails. Having said that, the Android app is phenomenal in terms of synchronizing photos from your camera to the device. The only other application I highly recommend is Entware, which gives you more command line tools. So you can set up different services, and obviously one of the services that I highly recommend is the SSH server. I also highly recommend Samba. If I remember correctly, I think that one's turned on by default because Samba is kind of a universal standard. I know it's a Microsoft standard, but it's really evolved in the last few years and it works swimmingly on most open source platforms. As you can see here, the main volume is volume 1. This is where this is kind of like the home folder, if you would. I'll say this though, it is a little bit limited. It's not a full like Debian system. It is full Linux. If I go uname-a, it's running kernel 4.9, and as you can see, it is of course Arch 64. So it is true Linux, but it's kind of just stripped down to the bare bones. And that's kind of where Entware comes in. This kind of restores a lot of the functions, whether it's just, a version of Vim to edit a file or rsync, these tools that we use every day that make having a NAS useful. But there it is. You have a full command line set and you can access all your files through the command line. Of course, you can also do it through Samba. Samba mounting in Linux is pretty easy. It just kind of works. Let me break down the pros and cons. The pros is when it comes to being a NAS, it does a good job. It does a phenomenal job on its core functionality. Synchronizing files over SSH, synchronizing files over Samba, and ease of use are right up there. The cons are the kind of limited Linux subsystem that's built into the machine and that 1 gig / 600 megabytes of RAM. That really seems to be the biggest limiting factor of this device. If this thing had closer to 4 gigabytes or even 8 gigabytes of RAM, you could see running Docker on this thing effortlessly. In a lot of ways, this thing underperforms a Raspberry Pi in those types of processes. However, it's really difficult to get 16 terabytes of storage with SATA connections like this thing has. I don't know, maybe the best option for you might be going to a different NAS. This one works really good for me and my use case, and I'm very, very happy with it. Maybe version 2 will come with a better Linux subsystem though. And a side note, you might have noticed a slight branding change on this channel. For 2022, I am kind of leaning towards the idea of making something a little bit more indexable. See, my day job, I actually do search engine optimization, which is funny when you think about how horribly optimized the channel that I'm running is. Hence the name change. When I had it just as art, that's who I am, but that doesn't really make it easy to find. Welcome to Cantankerous Tech. This is the first video of the new branding. Graphics and stuff are still in the works. I'm having a hell of a time making graphics myself. The goal is by next year, so Happy New Year. Thanks for riding along with me on this one. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I got more things coming, more hardware reviews, more software walkthroughs. If you want to see those, subscribe so you don't miss a thing. If you want to support us like these Patreons do, link will be down below. These cool cats, they're my heroes. All right, guys, catch you on the next one.